So while last year might have been the greatest starting quarterback class in history, this one could be the greatest backup quarterback class in NFL history.
I was wondering where you were going to that. I was like, where's he going to say here? Oh, yeah, baby, that's right. It's Chris Sims. It's Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Yes, I am a backup quarterback. I'm here to tell you about all the good backups, okay? That's what I did. That's what I do. I know how to hold the clipboard as good as anybody out there, so I know what it takes, all right? All right?
So one of the criticisms of you, right? It's like, I don't know, his NFL career wasn't great enough.
We can't listen to him. His stats weren't that good. We don't want to listen to him coming from somebody who'd never played in the NFL. That's what I always love and go, wait, so you're not allowed to talk about the sport any at all ever again, right? You just make sure we stay true to that.
But for backup quarterbacks, who better?
I got it all over it, and I'm all over it for this draft. But you're not a backup quarterback. You are a lead host. That's what you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're the man. What's up, everybody? Yeah, we're one day before the draft. It's coming. It's April 23rd. We're pumped. One day to the barn. We're going to be in the barn talking ball, and it's going to be a fun draft. And we got more fun stuff to talk about today, let alone we got Omarion Hampton coming to visit us here in a few minutes, which is really cool. Well, he heard you were coming on the show, and he was like, I need to be there for that, not the backup Sims.
Let's go with do you have your number one host?
Let's go with the number 3 host at NBC. I want to talk to him.
Is the best one going to be there? Connor Rogers.
Karika will be there? No, it's not Tarika. Maria Taylor will be there? No. It's Ahmed Fareed. Okay, I'll come on.
That is what I've told people. I was like, I am the host that shows up when your favorite host is not there hosting the program. And so that is Ahmed Fareed.
I don't buy that.
The backup host, the backup quarterback now have come together for the number one podcast. So we got a lot to get to. We got Jay Croucher coming on the show, who is our number one betting analyst, and so he'll talk about some of the props. The market's moving on some guys. What does that mean? So kind of what we can learn from the betting market.
Agreed with
what
that.
What could happen tomorrow? Yep. But I want to ask you about your mock draft.
Yeah.
Because this is what you've said to me before. You said before the podcast.
Right.
You say it's very you do the mock draft.
Yeah.
And then all of your NFL friends come out of the woodwork.
Right.
It's like you could have used some help maybe before the mock to produce your mock.
Right.
But once it's out there, everyone comes to you and says, that ain't going to happen.
Right.
Or maybe that is going to happen.
Right. It's the one, like I told you just a second ago, I was like, I wish I could do a mock now. I feel like I'd be a lot more on point
Well,
here.
let's get into it then.
But we'll get into it. But it's kind of what happens to me every year.
Yeah.
And this happens to me even with all my positions when I talk to my friends leading up to it, because usually I'm a little ahead of them in their total, like especially the coaches and what they've seen. So I put myself out there pretty quickly, and all my friends that I do talk and text to, they know where I stand on a lot of these guys. And then I pepper them with questions every now and then. Hey, this guy's rise, like, I didn't love this guy. What do you see? Am I wrong here? Blah, blah, blah. I have those type of conversations. But my mock draft goes out on social media, yesterday morning at some point, and I'm going to tell you within the next 45 minutes, I had 3 people in the NFL texting me things about it, and continued throughout the day. And then I text Pete them a little lightitis, and I tell them things that I'm being told and heard, right? And that is the good thing about getting it out on a Monday is I do now, they know, wait, he's not putting another one out, so I'll tell him a little bit, and we're not going to, he's a little wrong on this guy, or this guy's going to go before you think he's going to go, or this guy's got a medical, and I don't know if he's going to be on everybody's board in the first round, right? Yep. This guy's got an off-the-field issue. Half the teams in the league are he's off the board for them in the first round. Those are the kind of things I've learned here in the last 24
So I don't want to
hours.
put you in a bad spot.
Right.
You got friends here, you got relationships, they're telling you things in confidence, right? And obviously, and you're smart enough to know that. You don't need me to tell you that, but I'm just telling that for the audience out there to give you a little leeway
Well,
here.
I wouldn't even tell you if it was just one person. That's one of my golden rules.
So let me ask you this. Yeah. So the things that you found out from your friends around the league, what are maybe the top 1 or 2 things that you I wish I would have known that before I did the mock draft? Are there a couple of things where your thinking is now changed on a player or a spot or a position or I don't know.
All right,
anything.
so let's go with this one. A guy that I've not loved, right? And we'll just hit it right off the bat here. Yep. I know we're going to talk about him here in a minute, but let's just hit it right here. Wide receiver, Arizona. Not one of my favorite guys, but I also I'm not dumb. I know that there's people in the league that like him, and he's higher on boards than he would be on my board, but there's no denying that there's teams that like him. And I think here's the other thing that's been just made clear to me really over the last week, not even when the mock draft came, is that, Other than Abdul Carter and like Travis Hunter, I don't know if there's a perfect player that really exists in this draft. That's the one thing I keep getting from everybody. Yeah, I like him, but there's this. Ooh, I like this guy, but there's that, right? Everybody, ready. Whether it's Ashton, Jeanty, or Will Campbell, right? There's still those kind of questions. So that's going on. But as far as Tetairoa McMillan is concerned, that was the first thing I started to get after my mock got released.
So you had him going 20th overall.
Right, to the Denver Broncos.
To the Denver Broncos.
Right.
He's your number 3 wide receiver prospect.
Exactly right.
Others out there, he is number 1.
Number 1.
I've
stated from the get-go that I knew he was a top 20 pick, and teams viewed him that way. I knew that, but he's just not my cup of tea, as I say sometimes.
So here are some of the quotes that are out there. And so this is the say it out loud, to where sometimes the quotes and the scouting reports don't match the position that this player is being drafted, either high or low. And some of the quotes on T-Mac that you have noticed throughout the draft process.
Sure.
And here's one of them. Quote, overall, he is only average in the speed and separation categories, but he is a long and limber athlete with exceptional tracking and ball-winning instincts. His tape is littered with contested catches. Some of that spawns from an inability to consistently create separation. So these are that is some of what you saw with T-Mac. And to you, those quotes don't sound like a guy that's a slam dunk top 10 pick in the NFL.
No, it does not. But I think what the league is at here in the fact of what I'm talking about, I don't think the league feels like there's a lot of top-notch, safe, guaranteed picks. I think they look at him and go, he's one of them. On the offensive side of the ball, we've talked about a lack of elite first-round talent guys. Hey, there is some elite things about him. His size is elite. His hands are elite. Size is a skill, like we talk about. There's big guys, big quarterbacks, right? They can do certain things that the smaller guys can't do. So you got to bring that into your conclusion and your evaluation of what the guy is. And then, okay, so we got questions about so many of these guys in the top 20. You know we're perfect. All right, and yeah, we'd like his speed to be a little bit better. But what I've come to with some people in the NFL is just that, hey, when you really dive into him here, right, you can build an offense around him. Right, you can line him up outside. He can catch back shoulders. He's got enough speed to go deep and do that. But I think what we're also seeing with the way the offenses are in the NFL and you move guys around so much, people really feel like he is going to be a phenomenal intermediate to short route runner where you can formulate a lot of offensive plays around him and that skill set, right? Where routes where you go, okay, yeah, when he's outside one-on-one and I want him to run a comeback, he doesn't always get great separation because the DB is like, I'm fast. I'm not worried about his speed running by me. So I'll be able to stop and hit on the brakes to break on the football. But what I've had some people in the NFL go, hey, you can forget all that. I understand that concern, right? But at the same time, we can put him in a bunch or a stack, and he can run all these intricate other routes, and his ability to put his foot in the ground and then break out and his speed and acceleration and those type of moments is where he actually can separate. So it's not maybe the 20-yard in cut or the go route that he's going to separate that we all look at as sexy, but hey, he's running the shallow cross, right? Oh, no, wait, he put his foot in the ground, and now he's coming back out where he came from. Those type of routes, option routes, some of those type of things, that's where I think teams see value, let alone he is one of the guys when he's covered, he's not covered, and the NFL likes that. And I think that's because of that, teams are going, wait, he's one of the better, safer, more elite picks in the draft, and he's going to go way higher than I thought. He is going top 10, Tetairoa McMillan.
He's
going top 10 by everything I've been led to believe through multiple people in the NFL. Like, it's the one thing that hit me in the face yesterday.
What about one of these other wide receivers that you aren't necessarily high on or as high on as other people?
Right.
This is a quote about him, and he's projected to go in the first round.
Yeah.
Overall, he doesn't have dynamic traits, but he's a natural football player and a quarterback's best friend. Another one. Overall, it might bother some teams that he doesn't have better size, but he also doesn't have a glaring flaw to his game that would keep him from becoming a productive pro. Now, if you said that out loud, that would not scream slam dunk first round.
That's not what I want
receiver.
my scouting report for my first round receiver to see, right? Like Malik Neighbors didn't have that in his report last year, right? Those kind of guys.
That is Matthew Golden from the University of Texas.
Right. And I knew you were going there, and I think this goes into the bigger part of the draft. And this is why, again, I think you're starting to hear, and again, another thing I've learned is I feel like most of the league wants to trade down. I echo the comments I think I said on here on Monday with Sean Payton where he said, like, hey, I like the draft, like the second, the third, the fourth round. That's where we like the draft. I get the sense like everybody I talk to wants to move down. Everybody. You hear the Browns, the Giants, they want to trade down. Yeah. That's the new report out, right? And everybody is looking to trade down. The Patriots a few weeks ago were open to trading down, right?
So that one team that wants to trade up, they got options.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever that team is.
Yeah.
And what I would say with the Giants and the Browns is they are in a spot where they are around the only two guys maybe worth trading up for, I think, in the NFL eyes in a lot of ways with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. They're undefeated. I'm not hearing any negative about them from anybody, right? Yeah. So that's not an issue. But with your Matthew Golden, I think another part of this and why I was getting to is that, yes, the top part of the draft, nobody's in love with it. And I think a lot of teams have taken we just want to make sure we get a proven, we think he's going to work commodity. It might not be a superstar. It might not be the home run pick, but it's a solid double. We know he's going to help our team, and we're good with that, right? And I think that's where a lot of teams' kind of brains are at in this. And I think that's why we're seeing some maybe underwhelming first rounders this year in this draft, like you're talking about with that report right there on Matthew Golden. But it's a little bit like, hey, he's a good kid. He works hard. There is no weakness. There's definitely looks like there's some untapped potential. We're not going to get it, but we know he's going to be able to play and be a safe pick for us and a safe bet to help our team.
Well, here's another first-round wide receiver.
Right.
Quote, if you want flashy, skip to another report.
Yeah.
If you want a savvy, rugged receiver with NFL-ready instincts, Egbuka, I just gave it away. Sorry.
Yeah.
He fits the bill. Who am I talking about?
Egbuka?
Yeah. Another one is he's earned rave reviews from NFL teams for the knowledge and leadership he has shown when they meet with him, which you hate that.
Well, this
Not
is
on
another,
its own.
I know, but this is another one. Yeah. And you're hearing this again, and I make fun of that. I've made fun of that on a few podcasts and TV radio shows I've been on to go, I can't stand when we start out with he's good in the locker room, he's good in the meeting room. I hate that crap. Teams like Emeka Egbuka, I will be shocked if he goes in the first round. I will say that. I will be shocked. But I do know he's liked. And, hey, he's big. He knows how to play. You know, he's got some physicality. And, yeah, I think there are teams that like him. But, yes, overall, I think teams have seen what that kind of report says right there. And, yeah, I think he goes off the board somewhere in the second round. I don't think he'll go off the board in the first.
All right, Pete, I know we're up against a time crunch here because we got Omarion coming around. Do we have a little more time here in segment one, or do we have to move it on?
Couple more, and then we got
more minutes. So I just want to pick your brain on other guys, maybe the defensive side of the ball.
Okay,
you're higher on Shemar Stewart. You know, the pressures, the disruption is production for him.
Right.
Is there anything you heard about your Georgia guys? You're lower on those guys. Is there anything you've heard from your friends in the NFL after your mock draft got
Shemar
released?
Stewart, I believe, like what you just said there is what scares everybody a little bit. Just wish there was more instinctive play.
So they're not. So his traits are amazing. His athletic score is amazing, but you do feel like there's
definitely some trepidation. I don't know if I can bring up a guy in the first round other than Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, or Abdul Carter where I can't tell you somebody goes, but there's this, but there's that, right? And that's again why it's leading into this trade down conversation. Jalon Walker is polarizing. Everybody says, oh, we need a plan. I don't know. I've never seen a 6'1" pass rusher work. But then it goes back into, hey, he's great culture. He's an awesome worker.
Here's a quote about Jalon Walker.
Right.
Overall, he is a tone setter on defense, and coaches rave about his makeup and leadership. Oh, your pet peeve.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But there is still, hey, he is explosive. He is strong. But there's the unknown. So there's that aspect. Back to Shemar Stewart, people want instinctive. They want more finishing of plays, right, to get that production there. There are too many missed tackles. There are too many, wait, this play happened a few plays ago. Why didn't you see it happen again? It was just 3 plays later. Why didn't you feel that a little bit, right? I think so those are the instincts things you worry about with Shemar Stewart. The other guy that I told you, and I don't even know if I said this out loud on the show yet, Mykel Williams. Other than Tetairoa McMillan, the next name that came to me through friends and text and everything and GMs and front office people that saw my damn thing, mock draft.
You had him 32 to the Eagles.
Was that he's going to go way before that.
They go, first of all, we're mad that you made the Eagles look good.
Yeah, right. We don't need to give them more players. And I like Mykel Williams. He's not sexy. He's not going to list wow you off the edge. But again, size, length. I think people think he can get stronger. I think people think there is, when he gets outside of that Georgia system, he'll be able to tap into a little bit more of his explosive ability off the edge and get after the quarterback, right? People were worried about that with the kid who got drafted by Jacksonville at Jalon Walker at number 1, right? So I think people are like, hey, even though everybody looks at Jalon Walker and goes, he's a bust, it's like, no, this is 2 years in a row with 10-plus sacks. It ain't as busty as you think it is there, everybody. He's pretty good. If that's a bust, right? Okay, we'll take it. But that was one that I got. Mykel Williams is going to go way higher than you think. And then I started to get teams going. The Saints are hot on Mykel Williams. He's going in the top 15. I'll be shocked if he doesn't go to the Saints. And I'm not joking you. Within like 2 hours later, I looked at Pro Football Talk and everything else, and they were like, all of a sudden the odds have shifted, and like all those things kind of started to come out.
Florio's got your phone bugged.
I think it's just that the word's getting out in the league. So that would be another one where Mykel Williams, even though he wasn't my favorite, he is going high in the draft, and almost everybody I talked to yesterday thinks he's going to the Saints at 9.
Here's a quote to say out loud over a guy who I guess is a top slam dunk top 15 pick. Quote, an upside prospect with loads of traits. He simply needs more snaps and more time to fill out his frame. That is a quote from a scouting report on Mykel Williams.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like a slam dunk top 15 guy, but to your point again about this,
yes,
everyone's got something that's not quite great.
Exactly right. And they're going, wait, he's played at Georgia. He's played against offensive tackles that are NFL caliber in college. We know he's tough because he works for Kirby Smart. He's a good guy. He's going to work. He's going to do all that, let alone he's got the size and measurables. And as we talk about all the time, this is a position where you go, usually when you get around to Cam Jordan and a few other alphas, and you start to go, oh crap, like I'm starting to look like the wimpy one here. I better step up my game, and I better be a little more crazy, and I better be more a little detailed in my attention to detail in my daily approach to get stronger, and my appetite and what I eat and all that type of stuff. And usually those guys seem to flourish, and I think people are going to bet on that with Mykel Williams.
All right, Pete is saying we got to go to break, but I have to ask you, did you get any pushback about the quarterbacks? Just one, you just had Cam Ward number 1 overall, and then you had all the other quarterbacks falling out of the first round. Did you hear anything on that?
No. And we have to revisit this after Omarion because this is going to be a fun subject to talk about. I got people to talk about it with me more, but nobody was like, hey, Chris, you're stupid. Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders are going in the first round, right? I got none of that. None of that. Absolutely not. And we got to dive into that more because I think there's a lot there, and we'll do that after we talk to Omarion Hampton.
And your friends love to call you stupid, so at any opportunity.
100, they're all over it, right? All over it.
They would do that in a heartbeat. All right, that's a good tease.
Yep.
We got another tease now. Omarion Hampton, a running back that you have going easily in the first round.
Right.
Probably
going to the Cowboys.
Earlier than
12,
most, right? So we'll talk to a running back from North Carolina who could be very, very good in the NFL coming up next. Here on Chris Sims Unbuttoned, we're playing a game, Say It Out Loud, some quotes from scouting reports.
Yeah.
Seeing if it doesn't make sense. I mean, where's this guy going? Should he be going higher or lower? Here's a quote on one player. Yeah. Given his size, tools, and reliability on passing downs, he is a complete player and should start as an NFL rookie. I mean, that sounds like a first-round running back.
It does to me. I mean, and then the next part of those scouting reports, and we got Omarion Hampton here, they all say chiseled like a Greek god, body perfect for the running back position, right? Looks like Joe Mixon in his uniform. That's kind of what I said right off the bat. So here he is without further ado.
And smells good.
And he does smell good.
That is in some of the scouting reports. So I see the Old Spice shirt. So Omarion, the complete package, Omarion.
Yeah, sir.
Thanks.
So,
thanks for coming on, man. So, like, right off the bat, right? I mean, you just hit on what you're doing with Old Spice. I like the shirt. It looks good. The guns are showing. It fits you perfectly, all right? I know you can run the rock. I know you can run people over, but can you sell me Old Spice? I'm not sure about that. So let's see. Hit it up right now.
Yes, sir. But, I'm excited to be here today with Old Spice to help me stay my freshest for the NFL draft. They got my favorite Swagger deodorant, Swagger body wash. So I feel like I'm excited for that. But even more importantly, I'm really proud to partner with Old Spice in their school Swagger program, which aims to connect potential mentors for young people. And then you can go visit oldspice.com and oldspice.com/School of Swagger to learn more about how to become a better mentor. I feel like, yes, sir.
That's awesome, man.
All right,
I like it. All right, pretty good. Okay,
yeah.
I mean, it's not top 10 pick worthy good as far as a salesman.
Is he a better running back than salesman?
He's a better running back than salesman. I'm going to say that for now, but he's got time to work on that.
Time to grow. You have time to grow. All right, so this is, I don't know, Omarion, I know you've met Chris before, but I'm sitting next to a guy who was very, very high on your ability at the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've had teams tell me that they got you ranked above Ashton Jeanty on the board, so you're obviously like that. But I think the basic thing right off the bat is just what's been the whole process like? Maybe like the biggest surprise of everything that you've had to go through so far in this NFL draft.
I mean, really, I've been just enjoying it. It's like a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, really. I feel like I'm blessed to be here, so I've been making connections, meeting with coaches. It's a dream to meet with coaches, so I'm like just enjoying the whole process, staying working, staying consistent. So yeah, that's really it for me.
So do you got a feel as we sit here right now of like the teams that you think you might go on? I know you don't want to tell us, but do you think you got a feel of like the 3 or 4 teams that might be hot on you maybe in the first round?
I feel like there might be a couple, but I feel like that's kind of one of those things where everybody got different opinions. Everybody doesn't truly know. So I feel like I try to keep my head down. So whatever team picks me, I'm going to be happy there. So
yeah, now I know you don't want to tell us, but if you were to tell us what those teams are, what teams are those?
I feel like I have a couple visits, and then I had a bunch of Zooms. I almost had a Zoom with almost every team that all 32 teams really. So I feel like that's kind of like one of those things where it's like,
Omarion, what do they want to know? What do they want to know? What have they asked you, and what have you told them?
Yeah, it's really just kind of the thing. I feel like they like my film. There's no question about that. It's just kind of one of the things they want to see how much knowledge I know about ball, and like just get on Zoom, talk ball with me. It's nothing too serious. You're just going over your film really just like you do every day in the running back room. So I feel like just getting to know those guys, building a relationship with them is a really cool experience.
How about like just feedback on your physical attributes or your game in general, right? Like what's one thing you feel like teams have been like amazed by you and been like, man, you're really good at this, and maybe one thing where teams are like, hey, I wish you were a little bit better, or what's up with this in your game?
Yeah, I feel like they go deep into my pass protection. I feel like they're a lot of people notice my pass protection. They know I'm willing to do it. They know that I strike first. I feel like that's one of the big things that they like about me, that I'm willing to pass protect and everything like that. So like, and then just different things like things I could work on, just like tips. They would just give like tips, like different things I should work on off the field that would help me in my game. Different things I should work on like in the film room. So like after almost every interview, I like to ask for advice and like know what I can build on. So I feel like that's been another thing that's helped me throughout this process.
Gotcha.
What has been a part of your game that you think you're going to need to develop the most at the next level? Maybe something you've heard from teams or you've noticed yourself, like making that transition from a guy who's been awesome in high school, awesome in college, and now having to do it in the pros.
Yeah. I think it's just same thing going to high school to college, college to the NFL. Just it's a lot faster game. I feel like there's gonna be more players, it's gonna be more mental stuff. So I feel like just getting adjusted to that, seeing how the veterans do it. One of the main things I wanted to do is get with a veteran guy, see how he stayed in the league so long. Some of the guys that's been here for like 4, 5, 6 years, and just talking with them, seeing what they do, how they go about their day. I feel like that's gonna be one of the main things I gotta adjust to. So.
Are you sick of hearing about Ashton Jeanty?
Nah, no sir. I'm loving it. Really, I feel like the value of the position is coming back. Just seeing this group of running back class itself, and like even in the league, seeing like Saquon, Derrick Henry, and all them bringing the running back position back to life. So I've been enjoying it really.
Okay, all right, and like I mean, I'm fully expecting you to go first round, You're not going to the draft in Green Bay. You kind of told us before we started here you're going to be in North Carolina. Just tell us what led to that decision as far as not attending and you kind of staying at home and hanging with the family.
Yeah, just being with the family, being with the people who got me here. Them always being supportive of me. Just my mom, my dad, my brother, a few coaches along the way. So I feel like just being there with them is going to be really special. That's really the main reason.
Yeah, good for you. Enjoy that.
Your favorite team growing up was who?
Favorite team growing up? I like the Ravens a lot. I've always been a big Ravens guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you'd fit that. That's for sure. They'd like you running through the tackles. That's when Derrick Henry leaves, that's for sure. All right, well, tell us about a little bit of on these visits, right? The whiteboard experiences, kind of what teams put you through in those scenarios. I think the fans would love to hear it from somebody that's actually been through it. Teach us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Different teams have different ways about going about what they do. I feel like some teams just want to get you in the room, watch film with you, be able to explain like what's going on in play, what's the front, what defenses are they aligned in, stuff like that, what formations you're in. So, I mean, you just got to know those things, being able to communicate that with the running back coach and everything like that. They want to get to know that. And then some teams you get with their offensive coordinator or the running back as well, the running back coach as well. And just they do like a whole install and just installing their plays and then seeing how you retrieve like what they're saying and like being able to teach it back to them.
Yeah, right. So, and that's got to be crazy. I mean, again, I played quarterback in the NFL. Then you heard some of these play calls. Were you surprised or shocked to hear kind of the language and how they even talk, or are you used to it at North Carolina?
Yeah. I feel like it's a little different. I feel like football can only get it can't get too hard because I feel like the main thing is just it's just different languages at every place.
Yeah,
so
right.
just it's still the same sport, still doing the same things, just different languages.
It doesn't sound like the same sport sometimes. Sometimes that sounds like a different language at times when I've heard Chris say some of those things. So we've talked about the mock. Chris has you mocked going high 12 to the Cowboys, right? Dallas Cowboys,
right.
Which I'm sure you would take that. Oftentimes we see a link 20 to the Sean Payton-led Broncos. We see that quite a bit. And they have Jeanty Williams over there, another North Carolina running back. I don't know if you have a relationship.
Did. He's not there now.
Not there anymore, but
right.
I don't know if you have had a relationship with him or have talked to him at all. Do you know Jeanty at all?
Yeah. I keep in contact with all of them. I feel like
What's he told you?
Mykel Williams, Todd Chandler, all those guys. I feel like they kind of been mentor for me, just talking to them.
Yeah, any pieces of advice that stand out? Things they've told you, hey, get ready for this, or watch for this, or?
Yeah, I feel like just learning because I mean they've been telling me just about the process, how it's gonna go. So I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared. Because, I mean, hearing from them, seeing what they've been through, seeing how to go about my business. So I feel like
Right. All right, so here I got one that's a little off the radar here, but I'd be interested to know your thought or feel about this. Going back to North Carolina, I played for Mac Brown at Texas, right? So I know Mac just like you know Mac, right? And they got Bill Belichick there right now. What do you hear from teammates, right, about what might be the same or different as compared to the North Carolina you were with and now what it's like with Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of both of them were good. I feel like it's kind of just two different things. I feel like depending on how you want to talk about it, both have their pros, both have the cons. So I feel like just being there now, I feel like the players like it. It's a lot more. It's a lot more like I heard they like tackle every day. I feel like it's a lot more work, harder work and stuff like that. But I feel like overall that's gonna get them better prepared for the game because that's what you're gonna be doing in the game. So
I hear you. Yeah, they're hitting Bill. There's no NFL rules as far as how much you can wear full equipment. So Bill's having fun making them all hit each other.
And a running back only has so many hits in him. So Omarion heard that. You're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to the draft at that point.
Yeah. Omarion doesn't worry about that. Chisholm,
but you only got a
God.
that's
He's
true.
not worried about hits. He's like, people need to worry about who I'm going to hit is what he's really got to worry about.
They told him, get out of here.
Exactly
We're
right.
Too much tackling.
And we talked about some of the Denver guys and Javonte Williams. You got anybody else you lean on through this process, through the years that you've met in the football world, or anybody that we'd be interested to hear that's in the NFL that you've talked to about what you're going through right now?
I feel like some of the guys like from UNC, I feel like I talked with them. Like Tetairoa Walker, I feel like I talked with him a lot. British Brooks, I feel like some of those guys just seeing what they've been through and stuff like that, and then I feel like.
Who's your running back you look at in the NFL that you think you're most similar? Like I've said Joe Mixon a bunch when people always ask me about who you remind me of. Do you look at him and kind of feel like you got the similar style?
Yeah. I watch a lot of Joe Mixon. I feel like I love his running style. I feel like me and him kind of compare as well. So I feel like that's another big one I like.
You think he looks like Joe?
I think Joe Mixon, right? And I was gonna say, like, if we get to the NFL, what number are we gonna try to wear when we get there? What are we trying to do?
If I could stay with 28, that would be cool. But it's kind of, for me, I feel like it's just a number at the end of the day.
All right, it's just a number. So we're not gonna hear about Omarion Hampton paid some guy $150,000 for a number when you get drafted here. We're not gonna hear that from you.
Nah, not that much anyway.
Okay, all right. So he's maybe thinking for 20,000 he might do it. We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, Omarion, if you get drafted in the first round, I'm going to let you know this. You will win Chris Sims a steak dinner, because he has a bet that you will go first round with a steak dinner. And I feel like that's almost a slam dunk at this point.
I hope so. And you know who I bet, just so you know, it's Chris Johnson, right? CJ2K. He came on the podcast. I played with him in the Tennessee Titans, and he broke down the running backs. He thinks you're a first-round talent, just so you don't beat him up when you see him or anything. He just wasn't sure who else was going to take a running back in the first round. So, yeah, I'm hoping you get picked, because that's free steak for me on Chris Johnson. I like that.
Yes, there.
Yeah. Well, hey, Omarion, thanks for taking time to talk to us. We appreciate it. We're going to enjoy watching you in the NFL. Chris already thinks you're going to crush it.
You're going to crush it, man. Like, best of luck. Have fun, man, and good luck with that Old Spice. Improve your salesmanship game a little bit, all right? But I know you're going to smell good on Thursday night.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Be good. Best of luck.
Omarion Hampton. So the year of the running back in the NFL draft, I think there was a point where we were like, there's never going to be a running back ever taken again in the first round, let alone top 10. Now we might have a top 10. And you think, hey, we could have 2 top 15 guys.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think he's worthy of that. Again, getting back into a draft where there seems to be flaws about everybody, he'd be one guy that I haven't come across anybody yet that goes, there's a flaw with Omarion Hampton. Right? He fits perfect for the NFL, is what you hear for everybody. He's your perfect NFL tailback. The pass protection that he brought up is usually the second thing out of everybody's mouth. Yeah, he runs hard. He's built like a Greek god. Man, and he pass protects, right? That's big. So, yes, and I think that we've gotten away from the long-term analytics of the running back, right? What are we going to get value? How long will it be? And I think teams have finally got into it, and we see it in free agency. Every contract's 2 or 3 years. So what are we worried about the long-term viability of it? The analytics for right now say that running backs make plays that make a difference for your football team in games, and that's what we're seeing. So there's no way to replace that. Oh, wait, I have a special running back. Oh, he gets a few 40-yard gains every game and like 2 or 3 touchdowns. And at the end of the year, explosive plays and touchdowns. Damn, if those aren't the things that determine the game, then I don't know what does. And I think teams have finally got into that and gone, that's what we're missing here. Yeah. You know, I know not everybody's special and not everybody can be Saquon or whatever. But, yeah, people are going to start to look for those guys, I think, a little bit more again because, McCaffrey, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon have all shown there's great value to that player.
Yeah, and the pay for running backs has gone up. I think like last year was a little bit of a bump up for him because the argument was that why are we going to pay a running back first-round money when you can get an established running back who's maybe just as good, if not better, for less than that out there, which is a great argument.
I get you.
But you also look at it, it's like not every team's spending like max salary cap money. You know, you have a lot of these teams, even teams that are competitive.
Right.
It's like end the off season, you're like, they still got 20, 30 million, and it's not like they're maximizing every penny.
No, there's usually always a little room left, and we're just seeing We're seeing with your top teams that like a lot of them have these type of guys.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the Bills. James Cook is that guy right now. I'm not saying he's Saquon Barkley, but he's pretty damn good, and he can rip off big explosive plays and touchdowns. Right. We just talked about Derrick Henry. We talked about Joe Mixon. These are all top teams in the AFC, other than Kansas City, because they got a guy that wears 15 who can do all that. Your damn Detroit Lions. I mean, they got one in Gibbs, and they got another half of one in Montgomery, but really Gibbs is that guy. And, of course, Philadelphia. And then you get to the Rams on Kyron Williams, and we talk about the 49ers. And you go, hey, Green Bay was in the playoffs. Oh, that's Josh Jacobs was pretty awesome last year. So I think that everybody is like, oh, the Buccaneers. Okay, hey, yeah, they're one of those teams that found one of those mid-round guys. Okay, that's cool. But we're still seeing more stories about the top-end guys making a difference, and I think the league has figured that out.
I love it. All right, we're going to take a break. Maybe we'll ask some of these questions to Jay Croucher about the running backs. We also want to talk about quarterbacks. You talked about that, what you heard from your friends back there, how many go in the first round. We got so many different props out there, so many trending odds.
Yeah.
Starting at number 5 in the draft now.
That's going to get interesting.
That's become a big story. And so what is Vegas telling us?
Right.
We should listen. Jay Croucher, we will listen to him when we come back. DraftKings has Cam Ward as the minus 20,000 favorite to go number 1 overall. So that means if you bet $20,000 to get Cam Ward number 1, and he went number 1, you'd get $1.
Wow.
So that'd be great.
Wow.
$1 you didn't have before.
$100.
Oh, $100?
You don't know how to gamble, so you got to write those specifics in for Ahmed, but it's $100.
Sorry.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
100.
It's always based to 100.
Oops.
Ahmed is so smart. He knows so much about so many things. But when it comes to, I guess, anything bad in life, he knows nothing. Okay? He knows nothing. He doesn't know anything about smoking weed. He knows a little bit about sipping alcohol.
This has no sugar.
He likes his energy drinks.
You know that.
He knows no dirty movies or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he thought if you bet $20,000, you get $1. One, right?
Well, to be fair, even though you're objectively wrong, I actually don't mind it because the American odds, they don't make any sense.
They don't.
Why is it based
exactly.
around? Not everyone bets to win $100 exactly.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And that's the only odds system in the world that does that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't even think I knew that.
In Australia, we have like decimal odds.
Right.
And in the UK, they'll have like 7-1 and 13-2.
That's kinda
Once you kind of learn it, it makes more sense.
We can't do math like that in this country.
What's the easiest? Is Australian the easiest?
Australians, objectively.
So how does that work?
Superior
Decimal.
odds
How does
system.
decimal work then?
So it's basically just like, so the odds will be like 1.7.
Yep.
And so if you bet $10, then you would win. You'd get $17 back.
I could
right?
do
So
that.
it's 10 times 1.7.
You're right.
Exactly.
This is the best way to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
So this
No
was
one
not
else
my
wants to do
fault.
it.
Yeah.
I was set up by a very confusing odds.
An antiquated.
In
evil
America,
system.
they're like, yo, wait, what do I gotta do to win $100? All right, how much do I gotta bet to win 100? All right,
That is us.
I either want to win 100 or lose 100.
Yeah.
That's
well,
American.
Thanks for running that clip. It embarrasses me in front of our betting expert, Jake Croucher, in case you're unfamiliar with Jay's work. He was the head trader at PointsBet for how many years were you over there at PointsBet? 5 years over there at PointsBet. And he has told us that the NFL draft is the one reason that he stopped doing it because it was the most stressful time of the year as a head trader at PointsBet. Is that actually true?
It's not fun. It's definitely not fun. It's all the issue is that there are just so many markets. There's just too many things now to bet on to keep track of. And I remember there was one draft where I think the Giants had the 4th pick, and it was like, they're going to go O-line, and everyone thought it would be like Tristan Wirfs or Jedrick Wills, and then someone tweets out that like, Andrew Thomas is actually the guy. Right. And now it's like, all right, we're going to change the 4th overall pick market. We're going to change the 1st offensive lineman drafted market. We're going to change the 2nd offensive lineman draft market. Just like all these different things, and just it's not fun. It's a day that there are a lot of edges, and all these markets, they just move around constantly.
So the sports books, they don't love the draft day either. They're not gonna be able to clean it up like they usually do.
Not for the most part. This is more like a loss leader vanity project, just like a content machine to put these markets up, and you don't expect. Most sportsbooks, they'll just hope to just break even on the draft because for the most part, they're flying blind.
Yeah.
It's not like when the Giants play the Cowboys, there's all this wealth of data and information, and all these players have ratings, and the teams have ratings. We know that the Cowboys should be 6-point favorites there. And so you can have a lot of confidence about taking bets on that. For like who's going to get taken 5th overall, it's like, all right, we're just going off of people's tweets, really, and people's mock drafts. And
so really, a lot of times there's not much more to it than that.
No, absolutely not. I'll give you an example. Say that Chris Sims tweets out right now that Shedeur Sanders is a lock to go number 9 to New Orleans.
It'll sway.
That would tank the market just off of that. And he can say that, and he can, and there might be something behind it. There probably would be if you tweeted that out, but there could be nothing behind it as well. So, and that's what moves the markets.
I've seen that happen once. I did it in the draft that was C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. I was very much with like the Carolina Panthers because I had just started and gone, well, damn, Frank Reich's going to like C.J. Stroud and all of this and like the bigger quarterback. And the market changed like right after I said that. And I'm not trying to act like I'm any big whoop here or anything like that. But I think also, too, like people know I knew Frank Reich. I know him personally a little bit. I think maybe they think, oh, he must have talked to him and heard this, which I didn't at that time, right? And it is. It's crazy how little things can affect it. But what I ask you here, too, is like, the last 2 years, I've joked with him in the barn, like on the top 5 picks. I'm like, I'm not even going to guess anymore. I'm just going to go with Vegas.
Yeah.
Whatever they say has kind of like been spot on.
Yep.
And I would think because of that, they can clean up more, but I guess I'm wrong more.
I think the thing is that the first few picks, there's usually enough info out there that you kind of just know what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like this year, for example, like we know Cam Ward is going to go number 1.
Right.
You can bet
$20,000 for $1.
To win 100.
That'd be a great dollar to have.
You can bet 40,000 to win 200 as well if you want. And then we have a pretty good amount of confidence that Travis Hunter will go 2, that Abdul Carter will go 3, and that Will Campbell will probably go 4, and that the draft, the uncertainty really starts at 5.
Right.
But the thing is, and the reason why these markets are so fragile is that it's just a Jenga stack. And if one thing goes wrong, then the Jenga stack collapses.
That's the truth. You're right.
So, like, if Ashton Jeanty goes 5, that completely reshapes, like, okay, where's Mason Graham going to go now? Like, could he just fall to, like, 14, 15? Like, we don't know.
I hear you.
And if there's an offensive lineman taken at 5, then where's Jeanty ending up? Is he just going to go 6 to the Raiders? Could he fall 10 to the Bears? Then all of a sudden, it's just like all interconnected guesswork.
It definitely is. We talked about that a little on Monday, right? Remember I told you with the Derwin James. Like everybody in football is like, oh, he's going top 10. He's going top 10. A few weird picks happen, and all of a sudden he's on the board at 18. And you're like, damn, everybody I talked to thought he was like one of the 5 best players on the draft. And you're great. It's a great point. One misstep or weird odd pick can throw it off for everybody.
So I'm going to let you know that I'm going to reveal this. I'm not that much of a gambler. I don't know if anyone knows that out there.
I'm shocked to hear that.
But what I do like is I do like following the odds and hearing you talk about that on what to expect and what they're telling us. What story are they saying, trending in one direction or another direction? And so let's start with the quarterbacks right now. And Chris in his mock draft only had one quarterback going, number 1 overall. That was Cam Ward. He had Shedeur and Jackson and Tyler Shuck going second round. I would assume second round. We didn't do a second round mock. That's next year.
But it would be early in the second.
So what are the odds and where they are right now? What are they telling us about? Let's start with Shedeur Sanders, where he may go.
Yeah, I think the odds are telling us that the league isn't enamored of Shedeur Sanders. At least, initially the expectation was that he was going to be the 2nd or 3rd overall pick, right? And now that has really drifted. He is not really in the mix at all to be taken in the top 3 picks unless the Giants potentially, spring a huge surprise at number 3.
Shocked.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
And also, there's been a big shift in the market for just the number of quarterbacks taken in the first round, where that number's been set at 2.5. And the over was heavily backed initially, and now it's like a coin flip, basically. So it's a coin flip that there's going to be 2 or 3 quarterbacks. And I wouldn't be shocked as well if in the end there's only 1 quarterback taken in the first round. So, yeah, we don't really know what the floor is for Sanders or Jackson Dart.
I'm with you in that. I've talked about it a lot here. Not that I think you listen to everything we say, but
you should.
But yeah, you should, right? It'll help you win some money on the betting markets, all right? But yeah, I've been, I think, pretty much at the forefront of this a little bit with my evaluation of Shedeur. And I think about 4 weeks ago, I was literally like, listen, if the Saints at 9 don't like him, he's going to fall, right? I never thought he was a Giants type of pick. I didn't see Cleveland going down that road. I knew what my eye told me from the get-go. I was like, I don't think he's a top 10 pick. He's not a guy that I would want my hands tied to be the future of my organization in the first round and have that pressure from the public and all of that. What I've come to find out is that really, a lot of the times with some guys, the league is being quiet because they like them more. This is one where I feel like the league is being quiet because they're afraid to say bad things because his last name's Sanders and Shedeur, and they're worried about the Deion backlash, right? I've heard stories like that all across the NFL. Yeah, I told Pete Demouletis earlier today a little bit where, like, we had a meeting and the quarterbacks came up and everybody was scared to talk about Shedeur. Everybody's scared. And I've heard this from multiple teams because it's like, oh, is it going to get back to Deion? What's going to happen? Everybody's scared to speak on it. But what I've come to, and where, like, I do think is going to be, I really think it's going to be one guy, is that, one, there's not that many QB-needy teams. Two, when you have three guys that all have a similar grade, and I know there's teams that have Tyler Shough above Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders, right? And from what I know, none of them really have first-round grades on them. I just don't see teams going, hey, the guy that we don't think's a first-rounder, let's trade a first-rounder next year and some other picks for a guy that we don't think's a first-rounder to get him in the first round. And I just don't think that lines up and makes sense. And, yeah, I expect them all to fall, and I will not be shocked if they're there at the top of the second.
Yeah, I think the thing is, too, is that if you don't think that the Saints are going to take Sanders and he's like plus 900 to go to the Saints at 9, then it's like you're banking on a team definitely trading up into the first round to take him in the first. And it's like just a lot of things need to go right to actually execute that type of trade. And to your point, there's not that many teams that really need a quarterback. And some of these like QB needy teams, it's like, well, the Giants have, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and the Saints have Derek Carr. Like, they don't absolutely need to get a quarterback in this draft.
Agreed. I think that's the thing. And the Browns, you can look at it too and go, wait, they got Pickett, they got Flacco, they still got Deshaun Watson, and now we're going to add another quarterback into the mix here, even though they got a bunch of needs on their team and they need to start to worry about the future, and that's where it gets interesting. What are you humming about over there?
Pete and I are thinking now over here, we should have made you do a round 2 mock draft.
Oh, okay,
now I am curious.
Oh, great.
If you don't think they're going in round 1, where do they go in round 2?
Well, I think we're saying the teams. We're saying the teams.
You think if the Giants took
the Giants and the Browns, they're all going to be in that conversation there at the top of the second round.
But they're not going to feel like they're going to need to trade up into the first round.
I don't think they're going to need that. I don't. Yeah. I don't get that sense at all. And yeah, I get the sense that this is a lot like the Kenny Pickett year, where the NFL is just letting all people like us in the media talk about these quarterbacks. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we like them too. Yeah, first round for sure. And they're all like, there's no way we take that guy in the first round when they get in the meeting room. And that's what it feels like to me. So we'll see. And to your Saints point and what you talked about at number 9, you're exactly right. I don't think they're desperate. And I said to him to start the show here, one of the first things when my mock came out yesterday that I got feedback from people in the NFL, Tetairoa McMillan's going in the top 10, okay? That was like, no, you're way too low, and Tetairoa, he's going before that. Tetairoa, damn it, sorry. Tetairoa's going.
You kept talking about his brother, his twin brother who doesn't even play football.
And then Mykel Williams is going. I had him at 32. He's going higher. Okay. And then I was starting to get told by multiple teams, we think the Saints are high on Mykel Williams. And that's why I think you saw Shedeur's odds drop there. So those are two things at least that I've heard from a lot of people in the NFL here.
Do you think that the Giants, they have to take a quarterback in round 2? Do they need to come out of the draft with Darnold Sanders? Or they can just ride in, even though it's the last year for Daboll and Shane, that they can just ride in with Wilson?
Well, what's the quarterback in the second round going to fix for them, right? So that's where it's like, I hope ownership doesn't get involved here, where they're like, I don't like the let's take a quarterback high in the draft, even though we're not totally sold on him and high on him. But it just is going to confuse the situation. And who knows? Again, I just play let's punt till next year. You got your guy. The team's not perfect. We know that. But we got 2 options here. One who plays it safe, one who will let it fly. And we'll see where we can go as a football team. But to add the quarterback to the mix just doesn't seem like a Mara type of thing to do, like another distraction here. That's all that's going to take over the team, even at the second round. Everybody's going to hear, who's going to play? Who's going to play? Oh, Russell didn't play this week. Is Jackson Dart going to play? Is Tyler Shough going to play? Is Shedeur going to play now? I mean, I just don't feel like the Giants would do that. And, yes, if you're not sold on the guy being special and being that guy, I hate that we'll just take a quarterback because everybody thinks we need to, and we have a need for that on our football team. I don't like that. That's not what it should be for quarterback.
So funny how different these 2 drafts are, right?
Yeah.
Last year what we were talking about with quarterbacks, and this year we're like, how many outside of one make it into the first round? Maybe just that one. So 5th overall. with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
You had Mason Graham mocked there. I think he's been mocked there for
by everybody
a long time.
Right.
And something has changed within the last 24 hours, right, Jay?
Yes, so now Ashton Jeanty is the minus money favorite to go 5 to the Jags, so surpassing Mason Graham, who had been entrenched as the guy there. So, again, this is off of mock drafts, off of conjecture. Again, and also, when we talk about, Travis Hunter's very likely going to go 2. Like, Travis Hunter's like minus 1,200 to go 2, whereas Ashton Jeanty to go 5 has been bouncing around like the minus 130 range. So it's not a lock by any means, but there does seem to be that momentum. And also, it's a new regime there. We don't have a track record on what these guys want to do. So there has been more buzz around Jeanty. And that would have
head coach.
Yep, offensive head coach, who, they do need more weapons to complement Brian Thomas Jr. in the passing game. But again, this is largely conjecture, but there has been a lot of momentum that Jeanty is the guy at 5.
Or Tetairoa McMillan, T-Mac.
You've heard that.
Yes, I do. I mean, Liam Cohen was hired to do what? Like you just said, he's hired to do one thing: fix the guy that we're paying $55 million a year for, and make him look like we should be paying him $55 million a year. So the Jeanty thing would make sense, or the Tetairoa McMillan T-Mac thing would make sense as well. Mm-hmm. And again, in a year where I said this on Pro Football Talk today, this is the other thing I'm getting from everybody in the NFL. Nobody's perfect in this draft process except for the top 3 guys we keep talking about. Every guy, and that's why I said to you jokingly before the show, every team I talk to wants to trade down. The whole league is looking to trade down. Everybody. Except for the Tennessee Titans. They're taking Cam Ward. Yeah. But even you're hearing the Browns, the Giants, right? Even that, because I think they're at a spot where maybe they're at the spot where the only 2 guys worth trading up for, teams might think about that with Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Everybody else, I don't know if there's anybody to trade up for. And Tetairoa McMillan is looked as a safe bet with some elite traits that you can build an offense around. And the same thing with Ashton Jeanty. And a year where we're not talking about a lot of proven awesome commodities in the first round, they're being viewed as 2 of those guys. And then there's the Mason Graham factor. As I've told you and what I just said, everybody's got some little flaw about all these top guys. Mason Graham, the thing that people come back to me with a little bit is we worry about his size. At number 5, when he walks in the building, he don't look like, oh my gosh, look at Mason Graham, like you'd want it to look. And, of course, because of that size, not great, muscular look and all of that, I think people are worried about how that'll translate to the NFL and what that'll look like. And I think that's led a little bit to, maybe Jacksonville falling out of love with him, or maybe they're never in love with him. But either way, he's going to fall down the board a little bit.
So if you're late to the draft, Jay, this is where you need to be sitting there, because it looks like, 20,000 to 1. We all know what that means for Cam Ward. And then,
we all do.
Travis Hunter and then Abdul Carter. Will Campbell, is he a lock? Number 4 to the Patriots. Is that what it's looking like right now?
There's actually been a bit of momentum.
Oh, that is moving too. Okay.
Jeanty as well.
Wow.
And now, look, Will Campbell's still, minus 400 type of range favorite to go 4th overall, and I think that is the most likely pick, and that makes the most sense. But there's been a bit of Jeanty buzz there too. Do you think, Chris, that Ashton Jeanty, he's been talked about as a potential top 4 pick, top 5 pick. Do you think that happens, that there's been a kind of paradigm shift in the league around running backs because of what Saquon did and Derrick Henry did and the year that McCaffrey had, and also just how well Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan have done us?
Definitely.
Top 15 picks?
Definitely. Yeah. I think there's a big time that I was just doing it before you came on. I just said I think teams have shifted away from these long-term analytics about these guys and gone, wait, the amount of most explosive plays these top guys make in a year, the amount of touchdowns they make, the analytics on a yearly basis say, whoa, they make a big difference when you have a special guy. And I think the league has definitely gone that way. And then I think when you couple that with a year where there's not at the top of the draft a lot of, he's definite, sexy, awesome offensive pick, I think that's where the value of an Ashton Jeanty is maybe even up a little bit more than maybe even other years, just because, there's lack of that, hey, we're sold that this guy's going to be awesome in the first round. I think he's on the short list of guys that teams feel comfortable with to be a difference maker right away.
Yeah. I wonder how someone like Breece Hall would be drafted, because he fell out of the first round, and whether he is drafted higher now. But, I think that the idea that running backs, a few years ago, the idea that running backs don't matter nearly as much as their public perception, I think a lot of that was tied into if you're not adding value in the passing game, because that's really, unless you are Saquon or Derrick Henry, like that is the real separator. And that's why, 2 years ago, Christian McCaffrey was the most valuable running back in football because of how he altered the passing game and just the geometry of the field.
That's right. And it's a copycat league, right? I mean, for the first 20 years of the century, we saw a team that was dominating the league go, we don't need one running back. We have 4. And it just depends on who we're playing that week. So it becomes the fad. And people start to go, ooh, that's how they built their team. Oh, they don't waste money on running backs. Okay, let's start to do that. But like to what you're saying right now we're in copycat this part of and everyone's going, well, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, whoa, okay, he did some good things for the 49ers. Oh, Saquon Barkley, oh, crap, maybe these guys are important, and it's been totally flipped on its head. And that's why, again, that running back and what we talked about on Monday, big people in the first round, I think are going to be a theme in the draft because everyone's going, hey, the Lions, the Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Eagles, offensive linemen, big people, move you out of the way. Defensive linemen on the Lions and the Eagles, the 49ers when they were going to the Super Bowl, even the Chiefs. Oh, that's the way to go. That's the copycat right now that's going on, and I think that's going to show itself in this draft.
Yeah, I'm curious, Jay, what some headlines are that you think we'll be talking about after the first round of the draft on Thursday, because Chris has mentioned he has 10 offensive linemen going off the board in the first round, and then I think he had 8.
I got eight defensive linemen.
Eight
and what
defensive
did I have?
linemen.
Did I have 9 offensive linemen? I thought I had
10.
9.
I thought you had 10.
I can't even remember. I didn't
Maybe
even
9.
count it.
Yeah,
exactly
we made up
right.
a few people and just threw him in the
Ariante
first round.
Ursay was a guy that I
Close.
thought about throwing into the end of the first round that I think goes in the top 10 picks of the second round, but you never know how things shake out if there starts to become a run of these linemen.
Yeah.
And that's the only other way I see trades happening too. If we get to like pick 18 and it's like, whoa, there's 6 linemen off the board already. Then I think some of those teams in the late 20s that are going, damn, there's only 2 or 3 guys left that we think are first-round type talents. That's maybe where we could see a second part of trade starting to happen if some of these pass rushers and O-linemen go off the board.
Yeah, I think the O-linemen are the most interesting aspect to like the bottom half of the top 10, where teams like the Raiders, the Jets, the Bears, they could all go offensive line. And there's been a lot of buzz around Membu at 6 going to the Raiders, particularly if Jeanty's not going to be available.
Yeah, that's what I had.
At 6. And then what do the Jets do? There's been a lot of momentum around Kelvin Banks going to the Jets at 7, even though Tyler Warren is the favorite there. What do the Bears want to do? There's been some rumors around them, wanting to even trade up for Ashton Jeanty. Or do they stay at 10 and go offensive line and just do a complete full revamp of that unit, which might be the most improved unit in football based on the moves that they've already made in free agency. So I think the O-linemen, they really define the bottom half of the top 10.
Yeah, I think so. And I think and then again, get into it like we talked about the imperfect thing, and you brought up Will Campbell with him.
Yeah.
Will Campbell, I mean, again, the Patriots said a few weeks ago they were willing to trade down. They were a team that was one of the first to say that. And hey, I could totally see Will Campbell being a Vrabel type of guy. But back into there's a flaw with just about every top guy. I mean, I really don't know if I've talked to anybody that thinks Will Campbell's really a tackle and they need a tackle. And everybody's worried about his arm length and his anchor a little bit as a tackle. Everybody I talk to is always like, I mean, I like him, but just know you're taking a guard at 4. You're taking a guard. Right? Now, maybe they think he can do the tackle thing and all that. But again, I'm just trying to say the overall, there's an issue, it seems like, with every freaking guy that we think is a household name in this draft. There's either he's not big enough, there's a medical issue, there's an off-the-field thing. We don't totally love his tape and we're in love with it. He's a good player. He's a safe pick, right? It's all of that. Where other years, like last year and some of the other, it just was like, oh, he's awesome. If he was there, we're taking him, right? There's just very few guys in this draft that are like that.
One guy who might be like that, Tyler Warren. You haven't heard a whole lot of negatives on Tyler Warren. I don't know, maybe you have. I haven't talked to any NFL people, so I haven't. The Penn State tight end, you got Colson Loveland, also the Michigan tight end, who was hyped up a couple of years ago as the best one. Now he's second best, maybe. Yeah, what do you think about the tight ends, both Warren and Loveland?
Yeah, so Warren, I think, is very likely going to go in the top 10, and the Jets at 7 is probably the most likely landing spot. Colson Loveland just gets mocked to the Colts every mock draft that's and it just seems like, and it makes a lot of sense that they need to upgrade at that position, kind of goes with what that team really wants. So I suspect that both of those guys are going to go in the top 14. It'd be interesting if Loveland, if he lasts to the Colts there. But one interesting thing to me that's in this type of range, I don't think these teams are going to go tight end naturally, but so like 14 months ago, the two favorites to come out of the NFC were San Francisco and Dallas.
Yeah.
And now those teams who are drafting 11 and 12 and are kind of forgotten about. And if there is a run on offensive linemen, the Niners might have to go D-line instead. The Cowboys mostly being mocked wide receivers there. But like, what do you think, Chris, that the Niners in particular do at 11?
I know. I mean, when I look at it, O-line is definitely something that comes to my mind. I mocked them Shemar Stewart at defensive end, right? I mean, I got to think it's something in the trenches. That's at least what I would think. I know there's people out there that go like, is Jahdae Barron going to end up there, secondary player? Knowing Shanahan or Lynch, I feel like they'd want to start off with the big people up front and whoever's the best one available on either side there. That, to me, is where their dynasty, or not their dynasty, but their run started of going to 4 NFC championship games and 2 Super Bowls and all that. It was because they had a great D-line, and their O-line, we knew, could open up holes and kick some ass. They've lost that. So, yeah, I expect it to go there. Okay. Like, I thought about Tyler Warren going like, would my friend like Tyler Warren? I mean, George Kittle, it looks like he could be on the last year of his contract. And I thought about stuff like that, but I still think it goes back to linemen when I get down to it. And, you know, the Tyler Warren thing's interesting because, like, if the Jets don't take him at 7, where does he – I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up being on the board at 15 for the Colts and they get him and Loveland gets kicked down. It would be interesting because, again, like you just said, if he doesn't go to 7 to the Jets – I don't know if I feel like the Cowboys would take him, and I don't think that would be a Dolphins type of move. And I don't think the Saints would go there either right now, but maybe I'm wrong. But I certainly can see a possibility of where he's on the board later than guys like you and me think he should be. That's at least.
Yep. The Bears potentially.
Yeah, the
10,
Bears have talked about it. But damn, I mean, they got Cole Kmet. That's the thing I keep coming to and going, I know Cole Kmet's not a superstar, but damn, he's a good player. I mean, I just would be shocked when they have some other needs on their team where I can go, you can make a difference getting a better guy here. I don't think you necessarily need the tight end there.
Yeah.
Right?
And then what is left for the Niners at 11? Like Walter Nolan he's being mocked there a little bit more.
I know. I don't love Walter Nolan. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of his. I feel like he's an end of the first round fringe type guy. Yeah. But yeah, it's about where these tackles maybe go and some of these pass rushers D-tackle guys. You know, as if Mason Graham falls and he's on the board at 11. Schematically, with the way they play, the 4-3 Seattle scheme, Robert Saleh, Mason Graham would make sense there. He's not the kind of guy that's the mosh pit, hold it down, double team, we're going to stop the run, I can 2-gap and do all that. He's the, hey, just shoot that gap, cross chaos, right? Yeah. And that would fit the Robert Saleh scheme out there. So those are things I wonder. And yeah, it doesn't matter how many times I ask my friend, he's not going to tell me.
I was just going to say, is there anything that Chris said there that's going to move the market? Knowing that he knows Kyle very well. Is there anything that he said?
That's an interesting one. I know our man Connor Rogers likes Jalon Walker as a fit for Salah's game.
Yeah.
If he's able to go there. But yeah, it's been buzz around Walter. It's unusual that you have it. Like the Niners are the 3rd favorite to win the NFC this year,
which is crazy,
behind just the Eagles and the Lions. They're right in that kind of cluster with the Commanders and the Rams as well. But yeah, it's they're in a strange spot because they're the 3rd favorite to win the NFC. They have a lot of needs. Like they could go, they have huge needs on the D line. They need a corner. They may need a safety.
They can't
need a
fill
linebacker next to Fred Warner.
I know.
O-line
they got
as
a
well.
ton of. They can't even fill a full team yet, but they're number 3 in the NFC.
But it's still like. You've still got all these superstars.
I know.
Right? You can't.
And they got that
it's
coach.
Still Bosa and Warner and Shanahan. And for whatever people think of Brock Purdy, he's clearly a very good quarterback.
Exactly
who was
right. Exactly.
A 4th and 1 stop on a Mahomes keeper from potentially being Super Bowl MVP.
Hey,
so
I got no clue. And as you know, I mean, listen, I thought it was Mac Jones at 3 for like months, okay? And I was wrong,
you were just throwing up the smoke screen so that everyone else.
I got it right one time.
Yeah.
And what was it? Shanahan's 1st or 2nd draft? I did McGlinchey. I couldn't figure out who to pick for them.
Yeah.
So I went with like a name I had heard him bring up a few times that I never thought it would be at number, and I was like, I'm just going to put Mike McGlinchey there, and then end up being right? And I feel like from that point on, everybody thinks I'm clued into the 49ers. He's telling me what's going to happen, right? And that
he
ain't
is telling you, just the wrong person.
Exactly.
Right. So here's some odds on Tyler Warren. This is interesting. He is -175 to be drafted in the top 10, but he is -225 to be drafted after pick 9.5. So that's basically saying number 10 to the Bears is his spot. Make sense of these odds for me here.
Yeah, so I guess it's saying that his floor would be 10 to Chicago. And again, like these odds, they don't mean that much, right? Because they just move off of air. Like, these prices are going to bounce around all over the place. To use my Giants-Cowboys example of how we know, like, the line should be -6, like, maybe it'll bounce from, like, -6 to -6.5 or -5.5. Like, that Warren line at -225, that could go from -225 to -700 to +300. Like, you can just go all over the place. So there's no real truth to be ascertained from these lines for the most part. But I think with Warren, I think that 7 is the most likely landing spot to the Jets.
Right.
There is scope for 10 to the Bears. There's some scope for the Saints at 9, even if it's not likely. And there's also potentially, like, he could be the type of guy that, you know, teams will want to move up for as well if he's still there at 10 to Chicago.
Yeah, maybe he is. I mean, again, I think he's one of those guys, the short list guys. Again, there's not a lot of questions about him.
Yeah.
Right? He's liked there. And the other interesting thing that I think about just the tight end conversation overall is pertaining to the Bears. If they did want to go tight end, I do think there's actually guys that are worthy of top 45 picks in the second round, like Mason Taylor at LSU. He's worthy of that.
Yeah.
The kid at Miami, I think, is viewed by the NFL as worthy of that. Right? So there's another 2 names, and then we'll see where my man Fannin from Bowling Green, who I know people love too in the second round, there are going to be other tight end options that'll be later on down the road. But I am intrigued with the Tyler Warren thing because I feel like a lot like with Brock Bowers last year. I've had no teams or anybody really give me a lean that, like, they love him, right? Like, nobody that I've like, and again, we saw Brock Bowers is amazing. He was awesome, but it was the same thing last year. I was kind of like, hey, everybody keeps saying Brock Bowers is awesome, but I never found that team that was like, hey, we love him, we want him, we're awesome, we're taking him, blah, blah, blah.
Raiders took him because they ran out of quarterbacks.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I know people were playing mock drafts last year in organizations and everything, and they kept going, hey, we got Brock Bowers pretty high on our board, but he continues in our mock drafts to be available at 20 in the 20s and later on in the draft and things like that. And yeah, I'll be interested to see where Tyler Warren ends up here.
So Jay, what do you think about trades? Because Chris didn't have any trades in his mind. It's incredibly difficult to predict trades, obviously, right? But we've seen them. Like, I think, what was it, 5 last year, 6 maybe the year before, or maybe it was switched and it was 4. So we've seen 2014, the last time there were not trades. Is there any market on trades out there that are easily available, or no? Any indication?
Not so much. And I don't like when people put trades in their mock drafts, because now it's just like, it's
I think it's a cop-out sometimes.
Exactly. And it's like, it just makes it too kind of like a Goosebumps, choose your own adventure, choose your ending thing. It's like, no, I just want, like, if the teams stay in place. And there will be trades undoubtedly, but it's like, it's guesses on top of guesses as to what will happen, because a lot of things need to go right for a trade to happen in a particular spot. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing that you mentioned, that, you know, a lot of teams do want to trade, and they want to trade down because of the lack of certainty. And there are teams like, you know, the Falcons, who really need to stock up, and they need help at multiple spots. They didn't have the cap space and free agency to fill them. So they are, you know, a team
and they're missing picks anyways too.
Exactly. So they need to restock. So yeah, they're a good candidate to trade down, and perhaps teams will trade into the 20s to get Sanders or Dart if there is that infatuation level with them. But we just don't really know. So it's just so hard to project.
Is there anything on that you're on right now that you got, you know, your eye on here, as far as that you might throw some money down
like
here?
Your second favorite NFL bet, because you know Jay's not going to give us.
Well, I know he's not going to give us. Well, hopefully his
bet.
first favorite bet, he already made the bet, so it's already in the book. Knowing him, I think he's probably already done that.
That's
right?
true.
Right.
That's
So
true.
he can't be swayed. So
okay, your favorite.
tell us your
NFL
good
bet.
shit here, man.
So I think Kelvin Banks is going to go in the top 10. And there's been some momentum towards that. And I think the reason that he will is that there are multiple teams that need offensive linemen in the top 10. So whether it's the Raiders at 6, the Jets at 7.
I have the Jets at 7.
The Saints have needed O-line help for years at this point. The Bears at 10, again, very on brand for Ben Johnson to do that. So I think the Banks will go in the top 10. I also think that the Raiders, that is trending towards them drafting an O-lineman, and I would lean Membu or Banks there. Banks is plus 700 to go 6 overall. So those would be my leans, is that I think we're going to see O-linemen in that 6 to 10 range. And I think that Membu and Banks are going to be the first 2 off the board after Will Campbell goes 4 overall. And then the other thing, like, if you can find alternate lines on Mason Graham sliding.
Yeah.
Because if it is going to be Jeanty at 5, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, where is he actually going to go? Like, could he fall all the way to 11 to the Niners, who clearly have a need? And so for him not to be a top 10 pick, I think is interesting, just because I'm not exactly sure where the home will be if he doesn't go at 5.
Agreed with you there. I don't know either. It will be interesting because I don't see the Raiders going D-tackle or anything like that. They got Christian Wilkins there. They got Max Crosby. I mean, they got hundreds of millions tied up in their D-line. I don't think they're going to go other asset there. These are the things you got to worry about with salary cap and free agency and putting teams together. That's a lot of resources in one spot. I don't imagine that. And then you get to the Jets and you go, well, the Jets got one of the best 3 techniques in football already, and Quinnen Williams. So I don't know, that's not going to happen because he's not a nose tackle, shade nose type of guy, Mason Graham. So yeah, you start to wonder where does it stop? Where does it end here? And where does he end up for a guy that, like you said, like I said, when I was doing my mock, I was just like, this doesn't feel normal. Like, I'm just, the top 5 are chalk.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as soon as I release it, everyone's like, hey, your number 5's wrong. Jacksonville is going to go Tetairoa McMillan or Ashton Jeanty. You dummy.
Do you think, so the Jets and the idea that Warren will go there, do you think that we just kind of can't do year 4 of Garrett Wilson having kind of no help in the passing outside of the dalliance with Devontae for half a season last year? And I just wonder if that organization, they think that, we need to get an A-grade weapon to pair with Garrett Wilson in the passing game.
I think they do. I think they know that. I think they're, just because of like what you said with Ben Johnson, like I think they're following a little the Detroit thing. They're going to win the war up front. And then they're going to go, we can find Amon-Ra St. Brown later in the draft. We'll find him that way. And this is a draft that I've been saying for a while. The 2nd and 3rd round receivers are damn good. 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, you're going to get, like, I mean, again, I told Ahmed, the top 15 guys, I'm all like, damn, they're all players. They're all going to start on a football team. Like, I like all of them, right? So there'll be something there to be had, and I'm sure one of them will be kind of a hidden gem, as we always talk about, that ends up being a lot better than we expected.
Yep. I think as well, the Jets, their O-line isn't that bad.
No,
at the moment.
I know.
I think everyone's kind of conditioned because it's been so bad for so long, but it's like, no, they went O-line first round last year. They still got AVT there.
Exactly right.
Center and left guard is okay. They probably need a right tackle, but, it's not in a terrible spot. And it feels like it's in a good enough spot that they can take Tyler Warren at 7.
I think so. I think so. And 2, what I looked at too, because I mean, I went back and forth with this one a lot when I was doing my mock, because I was a little bit like, damn, we got a first rounder at left tackle. We got a first rounder at right guard, right? We got a second rounder at center. I mean, these are all from the last few years. Are we going to go another first rounder at tackle? But I went with just the Detroit logic a little bit there. But they're like, to your point here, like, that's why, to me, they signed Josh Myers. If they don't go line, they're going to be able to put Josh Myers maybe at guard and Vera Tucker back out at tackle if something doesn't fall right here for them at number 7 or as far as the O-line is concerned. And that definitely went through my brain as I was kind of shuffling through things myself here too.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. I think we've covered it all here.
We covered it all?
If you win any money from anything that Jay said here, send us $10, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the least you can do. And if you lose money, we will block you because we don't want to deal with that anymore. So those are the stakes.
What do we got? What's the line right now for edge or D lineman picked? Where are we at with that conversation? I feel like I haven't seen that in a day or two.
That's been bouncing around.
It's been bouncing around
all over the place.
6.5. What is it? Oh,
8.5 total D linemen.
8.5.
So that'll be interesting.
Okay.
That will be interesting. Okay. I mean, I had more than that. I think it's going to be all about the 3D tackles. I mean, my top 5 pass rushers plus the 2 Georgia guys who I know I'm low on, right? So that's 10 guys overall. And I think, like, the closer we get here, I feel like it's a slam dunk, the over. I mean, that's how I feel. If I was going to say
tackle edge
I feel like the only guy that is questionable out of all the guys we've talked about, top 5 pass rushers, right? Abdul Carter, Shemar Stewart, Mike Green, Enzarique, Jamar Pierce, and Pierce. I think it was Pierce and then Enzarique. Sorry. Ezaraku. You know what I'm saying, okay? Yeah. And then the 2 Georgia guys, okay? So that's 7. And then the 3D tackles. The only guy that I worry about right now, because I know there's some off-the-field stuff, is Mike Green. He's the only one. I think everybody else, I'd go, no, there's slam dunks going in the first round. But Mike Green, I know off the field issue is definitely going to affect him with a certain few teams, not everybody. And we'll see where that goes. But, man, yeah, I feel like the over is going to hit on that one.
Okay. All right.
All right. Put some money on that for me. Put your money on it, though, not mine.
And send us $10 if you win there. It's the Rule the Unbuttoned podcast. Anything else, or forever hold your peace?
No, I think that's it. We hit it. I mean, we hit it all. I don't think we got anything more to hit on. I mean, we ending the show right here. That's it. We done.
I think so. I've got nothing else to say.
Okay, good. Let's
Maybe we bring back Omarion if he has one last word about Old Spice or anything.
I got nothing. All right, I like it. We're gonna end the show with Jay Croucher.
Here we go.
Threesome at the table.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here, and tomorrow in the barn,
another threesome.
We got another threesome. Connor Rogers, we're getting Australia out of there for some USA. Okay. But yeah, we got Connor Rogers coming in the barn with me, Ahmed. We're gonna be hanging.
Yep.
We're gonna have balloons. We're gonna party. We're gonna sit on the couch.
Connor doesn't like balloons. He doesn't like balloons.
He's gonna have to deal with them.
He's not a balloon
little
guy.
drinky. We're gonna have a little fun that way. So everybody tune in.
You're
check
invited,
us out.
Jay, too. I know you have a family
you want to come
that,
hang? You want to bring your family? You can bring them too.
Okay.
Wow,
You can be in the background.
I love balloons.
And just yell, "Chris Sims is awesome" the whole time. That's all you got to do. Okay?
Big balloon guy.
All right. I hope everybody liked this podcast. We're excited for the draft. I hope you are too. Check us out tomorrow. Anywhere you find us, NBC Sports, you know where we're at. Me and Ahmed in the barn, Connor Rogers. That's right. We'll be talking about everything that goes on. We're pumped about it. And what'd you say, Pete, in my ear there? And
Jay and the family with
the
balloons.
family too.
Yeah,
We'll all be
plus
there.
250 to be there.
All right, everybody. You know where to find us. Subscribe, rate, and review. Peace out, homies. Enjoy the draft. We'll see you Thursday night. Clap it up.
Here, clap it up. All right, there we go, everyone.
Thanks for watching Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Hey, just because the season's over, it doesn't mean we're over. We ain't going anywhere. The NFL never dies.
We're staying right here. Hit subscribe. We got every NFL move. We'll react to that. Plus, Chris has got 4,719 draft prospect profiles to do.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe. You know where to find us. Peace out, homies.